In today's video, we're going to have a look at an actual case study of a client of ours who purchased some land without planning in the hopes of getting planning in the future for $255,000. This is an experienced developer that we work with an awful lot. I think we've done around about 13 deals with them, lucky number 13, and it actually went through within about 4 weeks. It wasn't the easiest deal. Obviously, there were complications along the way, as with almost every deal. But given that it was land without planning, the lender didn't want any hope value included in the valuation. This is how we did it. So, as I mentioned, our borrower was an experienced developer. He owns a couple of properties throughout Scotland. He's built from the ground up as well as refurbishment deals. But most of the deals we've done with them are all based on the ground up developments. He approached us because he just won a bid in an auction for £255,000 on some land without planning. It was 2 acres, and he was hoping and had discussed with his architect to go get planning for around 15 to 18 houses on there. With it being an auction, there is a built-in timer. We had 4 weeks in order to complete the deal, which, as any of you know, if you have done development finance deals, that is a pretty tight time frame. Obviously with this, we were just looking to bridge the purchase. There are very few lenders out there that will lend against land without planning. The reason for this is it's very difficult to actually attribute a value without having hope built in that you will actually get planning. If you looked at 2 acres of land, if it was say just agricultural land or pasture land, typically that's around about 10,000 per acre. Obviously this was 2 acres for 255,000, so there was a big difference. It was in Glasgow, in a good location, surrounded by other houses, so the likelihood is there will be some planning, but the site had been owned before and had planning disallowed previously. The architect was quite comfortable that they could get planning because the other one tried to go for a large block of flats, which would not have worked in that location. The borrower, fortunately as well, had a reasonable amount of cash to inject into this deal. We ended up getting a net loan of 50% of the 90-day figure. And the 90-day figure is actually an important one, because what that is the value if you have a 90-day sales period, which is often described as the fire sale. So you need to actually complete within 90 days. Many people who are looking to complete that quickly would want a discount in order to get it done quicker, and that often is around 10 to 20% of the actual value of the land. In this case, when the value went out as well, not only did the 90-day figure come in lower than the auction figure, which was a little bit of a surprise because in an auction there were several other bids which to me showed demand, but the valuer disagreed, and they thought that everyone was purchasing it based on the hope of getting the planning, which was the case, and the lender has specifically advised them not to include any hope value in that valuation. The figure came out at about 215,000, so 215 rather than 255. That did throw a bit of a spanner in the works, but luckily we were in the process of raising some cash on a second charge on one of the client's other properties, and he could easily just move the shortfall from that deal into this deal, and it didn't really cause any issues. But there were so many things with this plot of land that needed sorting. There was access issues, there was indemnity and policies that we needed, there was all sorts of things that had we have had lots of time, they all would have been really easy to sort. But because we were working on the auction deadline, we had to scramble. The lender's solicitor was a little bit difficult with it as well. They were asking for things that weren't included in the legal pack, which made it incredibly difficult for us to get from the vendor in the time frame as well. Luckily, the vendor solicitors were actually the exact same solicitors as the lender was using, which actually caused a slight delay at the start because they had to make sure that there was no conflict. Once that was all done, because of that, lots of the questions they wanted to know were dealt with fairly easily. Our client had his own solicitor who we'd used on several deals and was really good. And we like to use similar solicitors if we can on all the deals so that they know what the borrower's all about. They start to know what the lenders do, and a really experienced one will have worked with most of these lenders before. The borrower ended up getting the cash only a few days before the 4-week time frame was up, and that included getting the full valuation, which took up most of the time. We actually had to write, or I had to write, a rather large proposal as to why the lender should start the legal work prior to the valuation. Most of the lenders, on development finance in particular, don't do them at the same time, because if the valuation doesn't come in where they're expecting, any costs incurred on the legal side are wasted. So they do this both for their benefit and the borrower's benefit. But on this case, the borrower was happy because he was legally obliged to buy the property regardless. And if he didn't go through with it, he would lose his 10% deposit that he'd put down. And something that a lot of people don't know is that if that plot of land went back into the auction and sold for a figure less than our client had contracted to buy it for, he would actually have to cover the difference as well. All in all, the deal went through fairly quickly. The rate was okay at a little bit over 1% per month. The arrangement fee was 2%, and the exit fee was non-existent. A 12-month term, all the interest was rolled up, and everyone was happy. If you'd like to hear more case studies, do let us know, and we'll happily share them. Thanks so much. And obviously, in this case, we can't go into too much detail because of confidentiality, but at least gives you an idea of what's out there and what you can see. So please do follow along for more. Thanks so much.